I play smarter. I invest with Morning Line. You build your stable. When they race, you earn. Buy, sell, trade, anytime. Morning Line. Own the game.
Hey everyone, Ashley Mailloux here, taking a look at a pick 3 this weekend, and we know where that pick 3 is going to be. It's going to be at Del Mar. It's Breeders' Cup weekend, Future Stars on Friday, and then day 2 of the Breeders' Cup on Saturday. I'll focus in on Saturday, and Mike Beer and I went through a pick 5 sequence for Saturday, so I wanted to use some different races, not necessarily overlap with that, to talk about some of the races that we might have not covered in that sequence. So for me on Saturday, we're going to focus in on race 6, the Breeders' Cup Sprint, race 7, the Breeders' Cup Distaff, and then the pick 3 will conclude in the Breeders' Cup Turf at 1.5 miles. And if you haven't started your handicapping, you can go to shop.drf.com or scan the QR code to get access to basically everything. You can get access to the clockers reports, past performances, you name it. It's an all-inclusive package there. It'll save you about $38. So something to check out if you haven't gotten started. But hopefully you'll get started soon, because there are a ton of races to get to. And on Saturday in particular, there are 12 races. So much Grade 1 action. So many good horses. Fresh faces coming in from Europe, you name it, overseas, Japan. Just a lot to get to. And something that we talk about Breeders' Cup Day is always the pools. The pools are very, very large, and with that, just an interesting graphic here to show about Breeders' Cup races versus North American races when you look at, say, the last 5 years or so. Specifically for pick 3s, they're about 182% higher versus North American races on Breeders' Cup Day. Your payout, $723. So sometimes we shy away from the pick 3s. We want to get more focus in the pick 4s and pick 5s, but I do think on the big days, if you really like a horse that's a price, and they don't have to be a huge price, maybe they're 5-1, 6-1, somewhere in there. If you can sort of single in on them or maybe use them with another horse, that's where you can sort of pad your ticket and maybe get a heartier payout. And so we'll try to do that here. We'll see how it pans out. I mentioned this sequence is going to kick off in race number 6, the Breeders' Cup Sprint. 6 furlongs here, $2 million purse, and it's a little bit of an interesting field. I think there are some interesting prices that I toyed with the idea of using, but I wasn't sure that they were necessarily 6 furlong horses. I had the opinion that maybe they want to go 6.5 or 7/8. So I'm going to get skinny here in terms of the morning line. It's interesting. Copion 7-2. Horses like the 10 in here, Ben Tornado 5-2, and Straight No Chaser 8-1, who will look to make it back-to-back Breeders' Cup sprints. We'll see how they kind of sort themselves out come betting for this 6th race. I think that'll sort of dictate how I play this ticket. Do I play it multiple times? Do I add coverage? I'm not going to use Copion. I think you either love her or you hate her here, and I'm very, very impressed with this filly, and I think she's done so much right. I just couldn't use her in here. So for me, Ben Tornado, I will use him. I can't single him, though, knowing that he has run once since the Breeders' Cup Sprint, and he was second behind Straight No Chaser. He looked very good. He got a career best buyer last time out off that long layoff. He could easily win this here for Jose D'Angelo, but I did want to use Straight No Chaser, and I actually think people will shy away from Straight No Chaser and just kind of wonder, as a 6-year-old, is he the same 5-year-old? Did the travel get to him? Obviously, in Saudi, he had no issues. He was so impressive, but Dubai didn't work out as well for him, and his return to the races here stateside, he was 3rd best. I think he can just build off of this. John Velasquez knows him so well, and I do think he could potentially offer value here. Not a ton of value, but better value than a horse such as Ben Tornado. So I will use the 10 and the 12 here in the opening leg.
You know the thrill of picking a winner. But instead of just running to the window for a quick payout, I play smarter. I invest with Morning Line. Morning Line is a more sophisticated way to use your skill and bankroll without putting it all at risk. Build your stable. When they race, you earn. Buy, sell, trade, anytime. Keep the action rolling without burning your bankroll. This is playing the ponies, elevated like a boss. Morning Line. Own the game.
We will move to the middle leg of the sequence, the Grade 1 Breeders' Cup Distaff at 1 1/8 miles. And this is a very tricky race. I think there are several horses that I am really intrigued by and want to use in here, and I ultimately will end up using 3 in this field. I will use the 1 Nitrogen, who, when we think about her, typically we think of her as a turf horse, but really on the dirt. In those last 2, I've been very impressed with her. Even her 2nd place finish behind Jinjin in the Spinster and her win in the Alabama. Her figures are slightly stronger on the dirt. I don't mind the inside draw for her because she's typically a little forward. It should get her into a good position early. I'll use the number 3 in here. Click go for Brendan Walsh. her figures, I know they're not as good as others, but I do think she has taken some steps forwards. I thought her return to the races in the cotillion, she was very strong, able to kind of fight with dry powder in those final jumps to get the win. I think there's a lot of upside. I love the way that she looks to be training. Seen a lot of stuff on social media about her, so Clicquot will be on my ticket, as well as a horse toward the outside, the 12 Dorth Fader, who she just came up a little bit short behind Torpeda Anna last time out in the personal Ensign, but prior to that, you've seen a little bit of everything. You've seen some good performances. You've seen some so-so. She is just a type, though, I think at her best, she could be a huge factor in this race, and I don't want to leave her off my ticket. She doesn't necessarily win all the time. You can go back and look at her one win in the last couple of years, but I thought her performance last time out, she's coming here off a career best, Hunter Beyer. I don't want to toss her out. So 1-3-12 here for me in the middle leg of the sequence. And then to round things out, it is the Breeders' Cup Turf, and this is a 1.5 miles. I do think that the Euros do hold the advantage in here, especially Rebels Romance and another face in here, the 8 Mini Hawk. And kind of covering and watching a little bit more of the international racing, say the last 6 months, Mini Hawk, I was not impressed with her Irish Oaks performance. I thought at that price it should have been a huge win. It should have been easy, and just visually was not in love with it. And then to see her since then in the Yorkshire Oaks and more recently in the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe, I think in the Arc, to be second behind Derry's, it was a huge effort. She looked like she was going to do it, and she came up a little bit short. And I don't think the ground's going to be an issue for her. I know typically you see a little bit of mixed ground where it's been on the softer side, a little bit more firm. I think she's extremely talented, so I have to use those two. But I did want to find another price in here, and for me, that's going to be the number 3 Amalak here for the Ralph Beckett barn. Rafe Beckett has done a very good job with this gelding. He is 5 for 6. He's a gelding, so obviously your options of where you go are sometimes a little bit restricted when we think of things like the Arc. But last time out, I wonder if 1 3/4 miles is a little too far from him. Al Rifa was able to get the job done, and Al Rifa is a horse that's no slouch by any means, a really strong runner. And then you go back down the page. I don't know. I think Amalak's a little bit of a sleeper in here. I think the 1.5 miles is really a good distance for him, even maybe a little shorter, 1 3/8 miles. I think last time out, they were just pushing it, and I do think he's going to be better in his second effort since Ascot back in June. So 3 deep in here, but there are others to consider. Goliath's one. You have horses like Wimbledon Hawkeye who are going to be a big price. I just think for me, the Euros are what caught my attention just a little bit more here in this final leg of the sequence. So before we take a look at my ticket this week, all of our Breeders' Cup content is sponsored by morningline.io. And first off, if you're trying to learn more information, visit morningline.io. Very, very interesting to learn more. You can unlock access to some of racing's most coveted bloodlines, mares and colts connected to championship pedigrees. Morningline is a private, SEC-regulated marketplace where approved participants can trade licensed interest in elite racehorses. No ongoing costs. Build your own stable only at morningline.io. So we appreciate the support from the Morning Line team, and hopefully in terms of a Morning Line, it'll stick pretty close to what we saw, especially here in some of these legs, because in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, if Straight No Chaser can, stay in front of Ben Tornado like he did last year in the Breeders' Cup Sprint, I think we'll get a good price there to kick things off. You can see in the second leg of the sequence, I do go 3 deep in here, the 1, 3, and the 12. Nitrogen's going to be the shortest of them, and I'm not using Seismic Beauty in here, who's 9 to 5 on the Morning Line, so I think we can get some value in the middle leg, and then to round it up in the Breeders' Cup Turf, Rebels Romance, Mini Hawk, they're going to be short prices, so for me, Amalak, the number 3, will offer the best value. So in terms of a ticket structure here, just going 2 deep in the opening leg over 3 over 3. So you can play this for 50 cents, it'd just be a $9 return, or you can play it here for that $1, and it will be an $18 ticket. So an affordable play. If you're not interested in the pick 3s, take a look at the wagering menu in the Breeders' Cup Sprint. Not only could you play the pick 3, but you could play a pick 4 as well that concludes in the Breeders' Cup Classic. So great wagering menu, a lot of ways to make money both Friday and Saturday. And let me know who you like in the comments. What sequences are you looking forward to? Do you think you'll play pick 3s? Do you think you'll gravitate towards other sequences? Are there any horses that you like at huge prices that you think could shake up, say, the trifecta payouts or the superfecta payouts? Always looking forward to finding out and kind of looking for those horses. So feel free to share that information in the comments. And good luck wagering this Friday and Saturday at Del Mar.